just so excited to welcome you to She Leads, and I'm very excited to have you as a guest on the show, representing a leader in law. And yeah, I'm just so excited. So thank you for coming on the show.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you, Carly.
Of course. So Natalie, you are a partner at Littler Mendelson law firm, and you're particularly an employment law partner. So from my understanding, you're a trusted advisor to these employers at startups, to global corporations on all matters related to employment law. But beyond that, you're also the co-chair of the Robotics, Automation, and Artificial Intelligence Group, which I'm really excited to learn more about. And in that role, I see you kind of help these new companies, or just any company, integrate these new technologies and kind of work with the risks that can be associated, and just kind of gaining that association into the company. So just background, from my research, it seems like you've always been passionate about law, but I want to hear it from your perspective. Have you always been interested in law, and was it kind of a known thing that this is what I'm going to do?
Well, it's a great question to start with, and I haven't thought about this for a while, but I'm first generation, and my parents didn't have a chance to go to college. But they always said to me, hey, we came to this country, we planted a seed, and you have every opportunity to do anything you want. I mean, I really grew up with that sort of a message. And so when I was in high school, I was in this AP history class, and there was this wonderful teacher, Mrs. Bertie Shaw, and she would not only guess what you would get on your AP history exam, but she would also always thought she had a good idea about what would be a good career for you. And so she said, "What are you thinking of doing?" And I said, I think I want to go into human resources. Like I like helping people, and I've researched the position a little bit. And she said, Natalie, I always imagined that you would make a great lawyer. She's like, do you know that there are lawyers who specialize in human resources matter? Like, you could work with human resources professionals, you could help them, but you could do it as an attorney. And so I started thinking about that, and everything I did after that was just sort of validated this real belief that, I think that's where my passion would lie, would be not only to be a lawyer, but focus on labor and employment issues.
Wow.
And so the courses I took at Cal Berkeley and the courses that I took at Columbia Law School were sort of along those lines. Yeah. And I've never regretted it. I'm absolutely passionate about this area of law. And focusing on the future of work has just made me even more passionate.
Yeah.
About what we do. And that's a practice area that we started 6-7 years ago, and it's really blossomed. There's a big need, I think, to understand how do you adopt transformative technologies, and what are the communication strategies, sort of understanding what the possibilities are and doing it in a legal and ethical manner.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm excited to ask you more about that. But it's always actually cool to hear how a teacher has made such an impact, even like you remember the name, and it's just like someone that really put you on this path. So as you kind of went through Berkeley and Columbia, did you have more mentors that were helping you kind of through your journey into law?
I mean, absolutely. I think all of us who have, or almost all of us, I should say, who have reached some level of success, it's because we've been fortunate enough to have people who care. And so I am such a big believer in seeking out mentors still, and I still have my mentors out there in the world who I regularly turn to, and also developing programs so that others can have that opportunity. Because sometimes you don't see things for yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you have others who've been through the experience and can share their ideas and help you see things that you might not see in yourself, it can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so going into this automation, robotics, automation, AI group. I'd love to just hear an overall perspective of this group, and then also kind of what makes a company a great candidate to be someone that can integrate robots into their workplace.
I will start by saying any company is a good candidate for looking at ways to automate. And what's interesting, I've actually just given a couple interviews just this week, is that now that we have been forced to accelerate adoption, so a lot of companies in 4 weeks had to do what maybe they would take 4 years to do, which is to for those who could go remote, to even with essential functions, essential businesses, try to find ways for social distancing, etc. So I will say that adoption has been historically slow, and the slowness of adoption has to do with uncertainties, because the reality is that the regulations, they're not keeping up with technology, and I think that that's going to be the case always. It's always going to be the case. And so what we can do is try to come up with best practices. So helping employers really understand what the possibilities are. Like most of the questions I think that our group gets are around AI-powered HR. So how can we find better candidates? How can we learn which candidates are going to stay with the organization a longer period of time? Who is likely to leave the organization? How can we make sure that we're taking the data that we have and being fair about the promotional decisions we're making? It's largely, really it's for doing things like conquering unconscious bias and trying to make sure that we're being as fair as possible and really getting some return on investment, that most employers will turn to the technologies, but there's concerns around things like unintended algorithmic bias, for example. And if you look at something like an exoskeleton or an exosuit, there's huge opportunities to reduce the incidence of neck, shoulder, back injuries, help individuals with disabilities maybe perform tasks that they couldn't otherwise perform. And if you look at like what we can do with telepresent technologies and robotics that can be telemanipulated, especially now, again, where we are forced to keep some physical distancing. So we are really trying to help employers understand that there is a way to empower your employees by giving them some of these tools. And it's really not about employee replacement. It is about pairing a human worker with a collaborative robot, for example, to do a lot of those repetitive tasks with efficiency and with precision, and in a way that you can scale your productivity and, frankly, give that human coworker elevated skills that they tend to appreciate rather than doing the dull, repetitive work.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you whether it is a replacement, but it seems like it just helps them, which almost. So generally, do you think the employers, the ones that you've worked with, they welcome it and it's been a positive response from it?
Well, those who do come up with a plan to adopt, and it usually, I think the hard thing is that a lot of business leaders are feeling pressures to automate, but not exactly understanding how to do it. Not worried about the law, yes, but also about morale, what that's going to mean to employee morale. And frankly, when you have machine learning, automated decision making, most employees don't like the sound of that. It is something that's concerning. So we really need to do more to educate human resources leaders so that they can educate others in the organization as to what these tools can do, how we put in some safeguards to make sure that there aren't those unintended consequences. And that's really important. It's really important to always keep humans in the mix and not think of these tools as anything other than enhancements.
Interesting. So one topic around all this is the topic of ethics, and you mentioned it. And you mentioned how it's possible that you have unintended biases behind it. So I'm wondering kind of how are you guys navigating around this topic of ethics, and particularly like who is in the conversation? And I'll give you a scenario that I'm not sure if this happens, but for instance, say a robot causes some type of injury or something. Like who's responsible for that mistake or that accident?
Yeah, well, I mean that's going to be a big question. What I will say, I will say, whenever something happens with a robot harming a human, it makes headlines, but it's such a rare occurrence and almost exclusively a result of worker error. Just maybe there wasn't the training there. There's certain types of robots that you just shouldn't be getting into the space with, your traditional industrial robots. And then there are other robots, like collaborative robots, which are, I mean, so much more dexterous. The 3D sensory capabilities, the vision, really advanced vision capabilities are such that you really don't have concerns about putting that robot side by side with a human coworker. And there's a lot of organizations that are working in tandem with one another, NEOSH and ISO and ANSI and OSHA, certainly, who've combined to come up with best practices and do things like work to certify integrators. So you have your manufacturers and then you have your end users that have the problem that they're trying to solve through automation, but making sure that the integrator who's actually deploying the business, the use case, has a certification and is being very mindful of the safety measures plus the training that needs to happen with workers.
Yeah. So right now, talking about ethics, who are like the main stakeholders, would you say, like that are in the conversation when talking about ethics and robotics or automation?
Yeah, well, so they're at a high level. I mean, first off, 2019 was a real tipping point, right? Because you saw the OECD come out with ethical AI principles, and you saw the G20 adopt rules. You saw the Algorithmic Accountability Act that was proposed into legislature. And so you have a lot of governments who are collectively thinking about these issues, but really where you see the deployment now is with the big tech companies. So a lot of the big tech companies are teaming up not only with the developers and the C-suite leaders, but also with ethicists and scientists and experts. And there's something about artificial intelligence that there's a lot more open sourcing, there's a lot more sharing, a lot more discussion than around past evolutions of technology that were more proprietary and held. And I think it is because so many people in the world understand that this is more powerful than electricity, right? Some would say more powerful than fire. I don't know about that. But when we look at what electricity did, I mean, a lot of people did think, oh, this is a technology for turning on light bulbs. What's the big deal? And not recognizing. In fact, the director, there's a piece that I wrote with the chairman of MasterCard and also this AI company called QIO, Rick Haythornthwaite. And for that piece, Dan Siciliano, he's actually there at Stanford. He's one of the founders of the Directors College, I think it's called. In any event, he was the one who contributed to the piece, and he said, yeah, that's where a lot of leaders really missed huge opportunities to see how transformational electricity would be to commerce, to society, and that AI and robotics are way more profound, way more impactful on our society. And that's why it's so critical we get it right.
Yeah.
And that's why looking at developing principles, adopting the principles, and I think ultimately it's something society will demand and the marketplace will demand. And if you're a bad actor in the space and not being careful, I think word will get out there and you just won't have a product that people can trust.
Yeah.
And they won't buy it.
Yeah. I think that's very true. So shifting gears a little bit. So given that obviously main theme about She Leads is just being this powerful leader in any industry. So I do want to tap into kind of how it is being a partner at a law firm, and more specifically, like, what skills do you think you need to be a successful lawyer? And for instance, like, what advice can you give someone, a 22-year-old like me, who wants to go into law? Like, how can they rise up to be like you and a partner at a law firm?
I'm thrilled to hear you want to go into law.
I don't know about me specifically, but...
Oh, okay. I got really excited. I'm like, a new recruit.
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, in general, yeah.
Okay. Well, it really depends what area of law you want to go into. So I'm obviously super passionate about my area of law, and so I'll sort of talk. Listen, whatever you do in life, you'll hear it all the time. You have to find your passion, and if you find what you're passionate about, you won't feel like you're working a day in your life. Really, I mean, you're going to still have stresses and you're going to have challenges. But it'll feel very worth it. And so what I would say for my particular area, I think it is important to understand people, to be really creative. I mean, there's still not a week that goes by where I'm not shocked by something that happened in the workplace or amazed by the ingenuity, some solution that a human resources professional had that is really making significant changes in the workplace, or times like these last few weeks that have just been devastating to assist employers in laying off hundreds of thousands of employees. So you need to have, I think it's important to have empathy, to be super collaborative. I hear my husband's coming through the door right now, so I'm gonna close. Oh, my daughter, and my husband. I'm just gonna close the door.
No, that's totally fine. This has happened before.
Well, I mean, this is how we're doing it now, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
We're
all sharing our space. They were yes. At the beach, but socially distancing for the record.
Okay.
Yeah. So, creativity. You have to be a fierce advocate. Obviously, do your research. Really look to others who've done what you want to do. I mean, I had the benefit of having incredible mentors and seeing them try cases, which helps me when I'm trying a case to a jury. And also, I think it's really important to build up. You can't do it alone. So building a team who shares your common values and who you can care about, but also make sure that there is sort of the shared vision, shared passion in what you're doing. And just a willingness to really take ownership. If you're going to be in a service industry, you have to make your clients matters, just as important to you as they are to them.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, as an employment law partner, you probably come across heavy topics like harassment, discrimination, just heavy things. So I'm wondering, personally, how do you take care of yourself and ensure that, okay, I'm taking time, like I have to separate from it in a way and ensure that my mental health is still strong?
No, that's a great question. And boy, I'll tell you this, because I told my husband, I said, after more than 20 years of helping organizations with reductions in force, you would think that it wouldn't still get to you, or you would just sort of, I don't know, it might feel more routine, and it doesn't. And that, I think, that is hard. And then there are cases where you have clients who have someone in their organization who did something that they shouldn't have done, or exercised poor judgment, or whatever the case may be, and then you have to learn to have those real conversations. And I think any good attorney is going to do a very heavy but thorough, a very, very early but thorough is what I mean to say, case evaluation. And not every battle is one that should be fought. Sometimes the wrongs just need to be righted. Or sometimes the organization was in the right and didn't do something wrong. And even just for morale reasons, as much as you want to get to the resolution, you need to let the legal system play things out and make decisions. And that's usually when a case will go all the way to a motion for summary judgment, or in some cases to a jury trial. I think I have heard, I'll just leave it at, I'll leave it at probably what's been tough is understanding that there's employees behind some of the really hard decisions that a lot of employers don't want to make.
Yeah. And so is this something that you address with your team, being like, okay, this is happening, but you do have to be able to separate it for your own well-being? Or is it something that's kind of unspoken?
No, I think it is. Sometimes you see things that are troubling, and it could be on both sides. It could be finding evidence that allegations were completely fabricated to hurt someone, or it could be finding evidence there's some validity to the allegations. And so, you see, and especially when you're working with less experienced attorneys, you do want to have conversations and say, okay, here's the situation. Be okay, be good. You do have to care about your team, and we're all human, and I think especially in my area, that's what makes us effective in what we do. You have to care.
So I am wondering, your daughter and husband almost walked in. So I'm wondering, how is that? Is it challenging to kind of have that balance with being a mother, being a wife, and also a partner in a law firm? Like, how do you navigate around it?
Well, I'm very fortunate because my husband's an architect, and so he's got a little more flexibility. He's chosen to have that greater flexibility, and that has helped sort of support what we do. It's just you got. I think if you choose to have a family, then you have to have a good partner, and you have to have a good understanding. And these guys, they've never seen me so much. I think my daughter's life, they've never seen me so much, and she's 11 years old. I had, I think, between my meetings with clients and depositions in other cities and speaking engagements, from March, April, May into June, 15 of them canceled. That was just the various sort of speaking engagements.
So that's a good segue.
I'm on the road. I'm on the road a lot. Not anymore. Not at all.
So it's a good segue, because I am interested how law has been, and like your job particularly, has been impacted by all of this. First, yes, you get to see your daughter more, which is great. But just in general, how has it been having things canceled and moving forward?
My 11-year-old had the easiest time adjusting, and it was amazing. It was really amazing to us because, here I was like, okay, I'm going to be here sticking around for a while. And we I'm glad you're not hearing the construction noise now, but we have a guest apartment, which would have made the perfect office to just go and have all my calls and have conversations like this, and not, have everyone staying in the other space for a while. But it's undergoing some remodeling. But her school moved very, and my dog. My dog just busted in. Yeah, she doesn't care. She just threw the door right open.
What kind of dog?
This Gen Z's, you're Gen Z? Are you Gen Z?
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. So you Gen Z's are incredible at how you're able to take what is a difficult situation, I think, and adapt to the new circumstances by leveraging the technology that is out there. And that's precisely what she's done. I mean, by the second day, I think she was setting up video conferencing calls. She had a dance party at one point. She's got her Minecraft buddies that bust into each other's worlds, and so she's been good and very disciplined. The fencing classes are happening virtually. The piano classes virtually. Even soccer. You can imagine, given you being a lifetime soccer player, what a challenge that is. Given that you actually need a team around you.
So how has the transition been for you and for in-law being a partner? How is that with coronavirus happening and not being able to interact with your team and people?
Well, when you're forced to be physically distant, it's all the more important to be socially connected.
Yeah.
And you can't, it's critical. So I'm probably texting more with the associates that I work with, doing video conferencing more, and our office as a whole is doing that. I'm doing that more with the clients that I work with, since I'm not going and having lunch or checking in or giving presentations at the office. But it's been, for us labor and employment attorneys, it's been really, really busy, as you can imagine, because we are helping employers answer a lot of questions, and all over the world, and we do have offices all over the world. Countries and states and local municipalities are all coming up with different solutions, and so I just in the month of March, just last month, I think we put out 136 articles just on COVID-19 related issues and the impact on employers. Yeah. So crazy. It's been a busy time, and then learning how to take depositions virtually is, another thing where I'll adjusting to. I'm probably going to have my first virtual mediation soon.
Wow, yeah. So it's definitely adjustments in all regards, and it's definitely not an easy time. So I think it's important, though, what you said about being socially connected is now more important than ever, and I think that's definitely true. So moving on to a more positive note, so I'll finish off with two questions. One, what is a passion or hobby that you have that's just completely unrelated to your work?
Okay. Well, hobby, we like to sail on the bay. I won't say that I'm the world's best sailor. I'm sort of better at, making sure that people have snacks and drinks. I can steer. Yeah. Cool. But it feels great to get out on the bay and skiing. And then, but my hobby, my passion, and the way that I start every day for the last 6-7 years is I read up on what's next. What is happening in terms of autonomous mobile robots operating out of the cloud. How is artificial intelligence being used to try and find that vaccine? What creative, out of crisis comes so much innovation. And I think that we will see a lot of that. Either you have a lot of people who are, if they are in forced downtime, they're spending a lot of it reskilling, relearning, or inventing. And thinking through better ways to do things. And so that's probably my primary hobby or passion, is just every day learning what's new, what's out there, and there's just better ways to do things to build a better future for all of us.
Yeah, that's great. I think we actually, on this show, Tina Seelig was a guest, and I think one of her statements was never waste a good crisis. Because it's true. I think so much innovation.
That's good.
So my last question is maybe somewhat connected, but this is what I've asked all my guests. So what is a weird or fun talent that you have that really no one else really knows about? And so I'll give mine, and I've been doing it on each episode.
Okay.
So what I can do is I throw blueberries up in the air and I can catch them in my mouth. It is definitely more fun with a partner, but it's just me, so I'll do it. All right. Okay. So here we go. There we go.
That's so good.
Thank you.
That's so good.
Wow, I love your passion.
Okay, I'm going to do mine.
Oh, amazing. I love it.
I will do it. Yeah, no, because I wasn't sure what you were talking about, but I'm actually going to do this.
Okay. I'm so excited.
Okay. I really hope this works. Okay, just give me one. Okay. This could be a disaster.
Oh no, I'm excited.
Okay. Actually, I'm sensing disaster. I'm having regrets. Okay, because it usually would need to be like a crisp.
Okay.
This is far from being crisp.
It's okay.
Okay.
I believe in you.
All right. No, this is definitely. Decker, do you have a crisp bill of some sort? Okay, hold on. Maybe this will work.
Okay.
All right. This is not going to work. Okay. So the challenge is to remove the dollar bill from under the 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is not even a quarter. This could make it a disaster. What is this? This is some sort of...
Good catch.
What is this? República de Chile. Oh, interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me get another.
Quarters over there.
Okay. So you remove the dollar bill from under the quarters using one finger.
Oh, interesting.
You know how to do that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Here we go. Oh! Disaster.
Oh!
1, 2, 3. Oh, God, I'm just scared now. Oh, you clearly lost your touch.
Oh my God, that was so great, and it was.
No, it's so sad because you caught the blueberry on the first try.
Okay. Other episodes, I've had failed attempts.
I've got like so few parlor tricks. I think that was about it.
No, that was great. I really don't regret any of that. Well, first, Natalie, I just want to thank you so much. I've learned a lot, and I'm so excited for others to learn from you as well. So really, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
It was my pleasure. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay, bye. Have a good weekend.